They tell us history is shaped by inventors, by rebels, by visionaries working out of garages. But what if the real force shaping the future isn't invention at all? What if it's money? Not ordinary wealth, but ultra wealth. The kind that bends markets, redirects research, and quietly decides which ideas survive and which disappear. For decades, we've been sold a comforting story that billionaires drive progress, that their ambition pulls humanity forward. But beyond the headlines, the truth is more complicated, because when a single individual controls more capital than entire institutions, innovation stops being about ideas alone. It becomes about influence, access, control, and sometimes silence. So we step past the public narrative and into the hidden mechanics of how ultra wealth really shapes innovation. Does it accelerate the future or quietly rewrite it? To understand the answer, we must start where most breakthroughs begin. Not in labs, not in universities, but in private rooms, where risk meets capital, and one check can change everything. Before companies exist, before products launch, before legends are made, there is a fragile moment, an idea with no proof, no revenue, only belief. Traditional investors hesitate here. Banks want collateral. Funds want traction. But ultra-wealthy individuals can't afford uncertainty. Across Silicon Valley, London, Dubai, Shanghai, private fortunes fund ideas so early they barely exist on paper. Advanced AI, longevity science, climate engineering, space infrastructure, projects too uncertain for institutions, too early for markets, but not too risky for someone whose portfolio can survive 10 failures to find one success. When these bets pay off, they don't just return profit, they shape industries. Many dominant technologies today were once dismissed as irrational until someone wealthy enough ignored the odds. But early capital doesn't just enable ideas, it influences direction. Public funding asks, what benefits society? Private capital often asks, what vision excites the person writing the check? Those questions overlap, but not always. At first glance, ultra wealth looks like a catalyst. But once an idea proves valuable, the rules change. Because the next phase isn't about creating innovation, it's about owning it. And that's where the story turns. Imagine building a startup. The tech works, investors are watching. Then a tech giant arrives. Not partnership, not support, an acquisition, life-changing money, instant scale, security. Sometimes it works beautifully, but other times the product gets absorbed. The team gets reassigned. The roadmap shifts. And slowly, the original idea disappears. Not because it failed, but because it competed. In tech circles, people whisper about innovation kill zones, spaces where startups rarely survive independently. Because acquisition is inevitable. Not every buyout is malicious. Many create real progress. But when a small group controls acquisitions, patents, and distribution networks, they don't just buy companies. They decide which ideas reach the world and which stay hidden. Ownership becomes leverage. Leverage shapes markets. And wealth doesn't stop there, because wealth buys scale. And scale creates unicorns, startups valued in the billions, long before they're profitable. Funding floods in, growth accelerates, but critics argue this shifts priorities from what changes the world to what grows the fastest. And that subtle shift quietly redirects innovation itself. Yet the deepest power move isn't acquisition, it's control of ideas, patents, licensing, legal leverage. Intellectual property can protect breakthroughs or freeze entire fields. In fast-moving sectors like AI, owning foundational knowledge can matter more than advancing it, which leads to an uncomfortable question. When innovation becomes property, who decides its future? And this still isn't the darkest layer, because some of the most powerful effects are unintentional, systemic, invisible. Consider two projects. One is bold, risky, world-changing, or catastrophic. The other is safe, incremental, predictably profitable. If you're protecting extreme wealth, which do you fund? Over time, incentives favor stability, not because vision disappears, but because preservation dominates. Progress continues, but leaps become steps. Then there's talent. Ultra-wealthy firms attract the best minds, with unmatched resources and prestige. Smaller labs struggle to compete, not for ideas, but for people. Innovation doesn't stop, but diversity of thought narrows. And then comes regulation. Wealth brings access. Access brings influence. Sometimes this shapes helpful standards. Other times, it creates barriers that smaller innovators can't cross, not always intentionally. But influence at scale always leaves ripples. Yet ultra-wealth also wears a softer face, philanthropy. And that leads to the paradox. Private foundations move faster than governments. Climate research, global health, AI safety, lives have been saved, breakthroughs accelerated. But money doesn't just fund solutions, it prioritizes problems. If a donor believes longevity matters most, funding flows there. If another believes AI risk is the greatest threat, research follows. Fields tilt, not by force, but by gravity. Public funding asks, what does society need? Private philanthropy asks, what future do I believe in? Those visions overlap, but not always. The Giving Pledge promises redistribution, but money redistributed doesn't equal power redistributed. Philanthropy can democratize impact or centralize influence, often both. And outside billionaire circles, another movement is rising. A developer launches a project online. No VC, no billionaire, just an idea and a community. Crowdfunding, open collaboration, distributed belief, thousands of small contributions. Replace a single powerful patron. This model redistributes opportunity, but it also introduces chaos. Open systems move fast and fracture easily. Then comes open source. Some of the world's most critical infrastructure is built collaboratively. No owner, no gatekeeper. Innovation compounds, but openness has a weakness. Extraction. Corporations integrate open work into proprietary systems. Decentralization powers centralization, so the battle shifts again. Not whether decentralization works, but who controls it when it does. Once systems scale, they remember who built them. Early funding choices become architectural defaults. Defaults become norms. Norms become invisible. Many modern innovation problems aren't technical, they're structural, designed decades ago, by incentive logic never revisited. And those structures shape who benefits and who pays the price. As trust erodes, resistance grows. Regulation, backlash, fragmentation. Systems don't fail quietly, they fracture. Innovation has reached a dangerous scale. Consequences now arrive faster than accountability. Platforms become too big to pause, and when systems become essential, failure is no longer allowed. Risk doesn't disappear, it accumulates. Governments arrive late, regulation negotiates instead of controls, and ultra-wealth shapes the rules legally, systematically. Not through conspiracy, through incentives. So who holds the brakes? The answer is unsettling. No one. There is no kill switch, only momentum. The future is decided. Through quiet choices, a funding round approved. A shortcut justified. A regulation delayed. Each decision seems small. Together, they lock in trajectories that are almost impossible to reverse. The real divide ahead won't be rich versus poor, it will be between those who understand how power moves and those who don't. Because innovation isn't just invented, it's financed, and whoever finances it shapes its direction. So, when the next headline celebrates a billionaire changing the world, ask the deeper question. Changing it for who? And toward what future? Because by the time the answer is obvious, it's already too late.